Hey everybody, it's Pax. Welcome back to the next campaign play-along, where all of our participants over on Mythos Busters play scenarios on a weekly basis for a campaign. This campaign play-along is for the Dream Eaters. We play with a limited card pool, including the revised core set, Return to Night of the Zealot, the starter investigator decks, and the player cards from the cycle being played. However, this time there's a small shake-up on this campaign play-along because of the unique structure of the Dream Eaters. Veronica has organized it such that we could sign up to be paired with other groups, playing the other half of the campaign that we're not playing. Since I've been fairly busy lately and finding it hard to publish videos as frequently as I'd like to, I decided to just sign up for one half. And since I just finished the Web of Dreams for the League, I decided to play the Dream Quest. I've been paired up with the magnificent Haskow over on Mythos Busters, and I'm looking forward to convening between each scenario to carry out the interludes. So as always for the campaign play-alongs, I'm playing on Standard, and for this play-along, I've decided to give Harvey and Yorick a try. One of my classic favorite pairings of all time is Daisy and Yorick, but I was really feeling up to playing Harvey again through the Dream Quest because of how well he performed solo when I played that campaign for the League before last. Harvey's deck here is pretty no-nonsense. I feel pretty confident bringing this to the table. The Dream Diaries help you crush some of those really important tests on locations throughout the campaign, and the rest mostly speaks for itself. You know, you draw cards, you get clues. I keep the Unexpected Courage in as a way to help out Yorick if he really needs it. The Guts is incredible in this campaign because of those willpower testing treacheries that get worse. That get bonus icons, not worse icons. Bonus icons, they double willpower and wild icons. Same deal goes for the Arcane Enlightenment. The Arcane Enlightenment lets you kind of like stack as many hand assets as you like, but it's also just really good icons. And then it's just like, money, clues, Occult Invocation, and Mind Over Matter, so we can hold our own a little bit. We did pull Mob Enforcer, unfortunately, which is going to be a little taxing on either my combat stuff or money, but we'll see how that goes. Yorick was a little bit trickier with his card pool, but ultimately I think I landed on a fairly solid deck list that was maybe lacking a little bit in cash, but I'm hoping that with the card acceleration from Harvey, it'll kind of make up for that. The real star of the show in all this is the sheer amount of health soak I have available between Leathercoat, Guard Dog, Tetsuo Mori, and these Solemn Vows, which make it so that Harvey is super comfortable managing his thrice damaged Curiosity, and not quite so pressured to just be burning his hand away at all times. I've got a lot of commits. Once again, same deal that I mentioned earlier. The Guts is really important. And then just daring and overpower because I don't have a Gret or a Beat Cop giving me a nice static boost. I might come to regret not having a second baseball bat. The knives only go so far when you're only at 5 with your basic swing and 6 with your throw swing, but we'll see what happens. Random basic weakness we got for William Yorick was Narcolepsy, which is probably going to be a little annoying in this campaign, I think, with especially paired with Harvey, giving me a couple of extra free draws. I might have to be very careful about when I'm getting draws on Yorick's turn to make sure that I don't accidentally draw this and end my turn really stupidly. This could be a problem. But if I'm able to make sure that I only get it during upkeep, then I think Harvey's pretty free to just wake him up. So we do our Beyond the Gates of Sleep, and in player order, we each read out one of these dream entries and decide what to do with it. So pretty sure that amongst these options, really, the only option for Harvey is Seeker. There's a Miskatonic one, but it just grabs you a tome. And for Yorick, Survivor. So Harvey searches for and plays Celiano Fragments, +1 Intellect, and +1 Willpower when I get to 10 cards. Probably won't be getting to 15 for the second Intellect there. And William Yorick picks up a baseball bat. Again, kind of a nice emergency exit button out of these first two enemies very early on. If I can't pull off the parlays, then at least I can beat the shit out of them. And then we head right into setup. So you might know this scenario or not. It does not begin with an encounter deck in play. You set all of the remaining stuff aside in a single pile. All we get is us starting at the 70 steps of Lighter Slumber with the Cavern of Flame attached that you cannot enter unless all the clues in the 70 steps have been discovered. We'll just reveal that to get those two clues on it now. When you leave the 70 steps, take a horror for each card in your hand in excess of 5, and you can choose and discard a card from your hand to progress. We have an agenda up here with 19 Doom Threshold. It is the only agenda in this scenario. Force, when Doom is placed on this agenda during the Mythos phase, if any investigator is at a steps location, you place an additional Doom on the agenda. So there's a real race to get off the steps and down into the forest as fast as you can. so that you have enough time in the forest to get the VP you want. You do not draw cards from the encounter deck during the Mythos phase. If an investigator enters the Cavern of Flame, immediately advance. Let's go take a look at the Chaos Bag. The Chaos Bag is pretty tame at the start. Number of Enchanted Woods locations on the Cultist. X is half the number of cards in your hand, but we don't have any of them right now. -2, if you fail, and this is an attack or evasion against a swarming enemy, you add a swarm card to it. So, relatively tame bag. Getting 2 up is very strong, but, you know, for those parlays, you really want to get as high as you can. So let's take a look at what we got for Harvey. Arcane Enlightenment, Mind Over Matter, Occult Invocation, Burning the Midnight Oil, Magnifying Glass. Fortunately, I get to burn quite a lot of stuff out of my hand right off the bat here. You know, I can get this Magnifying Glass and this Burning the Midnight Oil played very quickly. I think this is a pretty good opening hand. An Occult Invocation is another way for me to dump cards into defeating these guys rather than parlaying them. So I'll have to consider that as well. I think that maybe the Mind Over Matter is just not necessary, though, in my opening hand. So let's get something... Yeah, the Unexpected Courage, I like that a lot more. That also lets us just go for a parlay instead. So I think that's pretty good. Over on York, we get Tetsuo, a Key Ring. Epilepsy goes away, a 45 auto, a Guard Dog, and a Look What I Found. So I think the Look What I Found and the Key Ring are good. I think that maybe the 45 auto is not essential. Well, I have the baseball bat. I think that maybe either Tetsuo or the Guard Dog is not necessary. I think Tetsuo helps me pass the intellect test, and I think the Guard Dog helps me do a fight or kill the guy that deals damage. I just don't remember whether the guy that deals damage is the one that you fight with, that you parlay with intellect, because Harvey can probably parlay the guy that you parlay with intellect. So I think that I'm getting rid of Tetsuo, because he's a bit better once I've got more stuff in here and when I need to get more things out of there. Yeah, I think that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Okay, this is good. This is very good. So for Harvey, we can pretty much just get going right away. We can we'll just toss the Magnifying Glass into play. We'll lose our +1 from this, but we'll have +1 from this instead. We'll play the Burning the Midnight Oil to gather 1 clue. We're 6 against 1. -1, that's one of the clues. We'll go again. 6 against 1. -2, that's the other clue. That's the 2 clues we need off that location complete. And then last action, we'll just move into the Caverns of Flames because all of the clues in the 70 steps have been discovered. At the end of the Mythos phase, each investigator in the Cavern of Flame takes damage. And if an investigator enters the Cavern of Flame, you immediately advance. Lose all your clues, put the set-aside Nashed and Kamanta enemies into play in the Cavern of Flame. Your slumber grows deeper, add a skull token to the Chaos Bag for the remainder of the campaign. Alright, so we get a skull added to the bag, which is going to be -3 for Yorick. We get Nashed and Kamanta in play with Harvey at the Cavern of Flame. Now these guys have Aloof and Retaliate. Aloof and Retaliate. They're 2/3/2s with Parlay. Test either combat or agility to prove that you're worthy with +2 difficulty, so it is a test of 4. If you succeed, you flip him over and resolve the text on his other side. If you fail, he attacks each investigator at his location. After you defeat Nash, flip him over and resolve the text on the other side. So you either have to kill him for 3 damage, or you have to do the parlay. So I think that we're most likely going to be doing the kill on this guy and the parlay on this guy. That seems correct to me. It is a shame that this is the guy that does the damage and this is the guy that does the horror because of the Guard Dog, but what can you do? York's going to move over 1 location. And he does not take any horror because it's for cards in excess of 5. You know, I'm tempted to try this out with an Overpower and the Unexpected Courage committed. And I think I'm going to just do that. That seems super reasonable to me. So we'll commit the Overpower to bring us to 6. And we'll commit Harvey's Unexpected Courage to bring us to 8. And we'll just pull a good icon, a move, parlay. We get the the Cultist, which is currently a -0. York gets to draw a card. And then we're going to trigger Harvey's ability to draw a second card. And that is one of them down. So Nashed gets flipped over. We parlayed with them. We add this card to the victory display. Last action, I'm just going to go ahead for 3 to play my Guard Dog. Because I think that's a very good card to have, and I no longer need the icon to put into a test. Alright, upkeep for Harvey gets him a Mind Over Matter. Great. And upkeep for York gets him a Daring. A little sticky, this one. This one's going to be tricky to get in my hand, and there's a reason you want to get these out of hand eventually. And then we each take 1 damage from the Cavern of Flame. We don't have any Mythos phase, so we get 2 Doom on here. So for Harvey, we're looking at 5 against the 4 difficulty, and I think that we're not okay with that. I'm tempted to do a card draw to get the Celiano fragments or a commit, one or the other. And so I'm just going to quickly copy and paste this here so I know when I've used his ability. I'm going to do a card draw. After you draw, you can draw an extra one. So I'm going to draw 1, and I am going to trigger this to draw a second. Great. Okay, perfect. So I'm now at 6, and I think that we're going to go ahead and parlay him. And we're going to have Yorick toss in a Look What I Found to get us up to 8. It will be 8 against 4. That guy is now parlayed as well. Surprise, surprise, when we flip him over, he gets sent to the victory display. And now, if neither Nash nor Kamanthar are in play, we immediately advance. We lose all of our clues again. We don't have any. Set aside 700 steps, base of the steps, and the Enchanted Path locations into play. We add another skull to the Chaos Bag for the remainder of the campaign. We still do not draw cards from the encounter deck during the Mythos phase. If each investigator is at the Enchanted Path, immediately advance. And we've got our extra skull in the bag. And last but not least, we've got our 700 steps of Deeper Slumber, which is connected up to the Cavern of Flame, the base of the steps, and the Enchanted Path. Now, this has the same text. You cannot enter this unless all the clues in the 700 steps have been discovered. And this is the same one for the base of the steps. Last action, Harvey is just going to move into the 700 steps. And it has, when you leave the 700 steps, take 1 horror for each card in your hand in excess of 3. So, William is going to move down 1 location. And he's going to... What is he going to do? He's got a bit of a tricky turn. He can try a Take Heart, Look What I've Found, but the funny thing is that the Take Heart's actually kind of bad, so he might just investigate 2 against 2 and deal with the fact that he might just only get this out of it. I think that not using the Take Heart now was probably the correct play. I want to not need to discard a bunch of cards, I think. So a -2. Whoops. Oh, sorry. I meant to play an emergency cash first. 1, 2, 3. And then last action, he's doing the Look What I Found, gaining the two clues off to location. So then we get upkeep over on Harvey. He gets a deduction. That's pretty good. We get upkeep over on Yorick. He gets a guard dog. That's very easy for me to just say goodbye to and replay it later. We get 2 Doom on the agenda. I don't remember how many clues are on this location, and I think that it's better if Harvey moves in first. I think there's 4 clues. I have a feeling there's 4 clues. There might only be 2 again. But if Harvey can move in first and then pull off and investigate and then move again, and then York can just follow him in, we're like really good on Doom for the second half of this scenario. Like insanely good. But I think I don't do York first because he has no way of possibly doing that. Because I don't remember this count. So you can now enter this because all the clues on the 700 steps are there. We'll go ahead with Harvey first. Move. First action. I think we have to discard some cards. A horror for each card in your hand in excess of 3. We do have quite a few. I know that the Arcane Enlightenment is good, and I know that the Unexpected Courage is good. The Laboratory Assistant helps me recuperate, and I think the Mind Over Matter maybe is okay to lose. I don't want to take too much horror, but like I have these lab assistants later, so maybe I'll... It's tricky because the Mind Over Matter is very good for the Gug. And Yorick is like got 1 weapon right now. He doesn't have extra weapons in reserve. So I feel like I need to save some number of these. Maybe the Arcane Enlightenment goes. And I take 2 horror as I move. And then I land in the base of the steps. After you enter the base of the steps, if you have at least 1 card in hand, test X. X is the number of cards in your hand after committing cards to this test. If you fail for each card in your hand, you must either take a horror or discard the card. Right, I forgot that you had to do this. So we're testing 4 against 5, but I can commit this to be 6 against 4 instead. And the skulls are at -2 if I do that, so I think that's good enough. That's the -2, so we pass. And then we are investigating the location 5, 6, 7 against the Shroud value of 3. And we're getting the 2 clues off the location. And then last but not least, I guess we're just moving into the Enchanted Path, aren't we? Enchanted Path. Enchanted Path is connected to each Enchanted Woods location. Enchanted Path gets +1 Shroud for each unrevealed Enchanted Woods location in play. Triple action to do as you're told, but you feel as though you're missing something, you can place a clue in the Enchanted Path from the token pool. Now, we do need to all get there to immediately advance. Now, as for Yorick, like I said, I think that he's fine just discarding this guard dog, and maybe even discarding this daring. No, I don't think there's any sense in discarding the daring. No, there's no sense in discarding the daring. We discard the guard dog, and then we move down. That puts us there. After you enter the base of the steps, if you have at least one card in your hand, you can test X. X is the number of cards in your hand after committing to the test. If you fail for each card in your hand, you must either take a horror or discard that card. I think we just commit to take heart and test 3 against 2. I like that idea. If I fail, I get to just draw cards back and discard the cards in my hand. That seems reasonable. So we'll commit that take heart and test 3 against 2. The auto fail. So we have to discard these 2 cards, but then we get to take 2 resources and draw 2 cards. Right? Super normal. And then we'll move down with Harvey. Wait, that was just 2 move actions, right? Yeah, no, that's it. That's it. So we'll play the leather coat. Actually, you know what? Instead of playing the leather coat, you know what I might do? I might draw last action and trigger Harvey's ability. So draw and then an extra draw. There we go. I like that a lot more because I can commit this to test and just play it from a discard pile anyways. Oh, we're supposed to advance before we made that last choice. So fine, we lose all of our clues. Slumber grows deeper. We add a skull token, remove the steps locations from the play. Choose 6 of the randomly set aside Enchanted Wood locations, put them into play. Shuffle all the remaining set aside scenario cards except for Laboring Gun and Randolph Carter to form the encounter deck. So we've got our extra skull in the bag. Again, I'm going to keep this at -3 because that's usually around where it's going to be, but sometimes it'll be -2. We've got our 6 locations in play, all connected to the Enchanted Path. Okay, so we get upkeep on Harvey for Perception. That's really handy. Upkeep on Yorick for a Live and Learn. We're really set up to do some combat now. That's very nice. 5 out of 19 Doom. This is probably the fastest I've ever gotten through the steps. We have boatloads of time for this part of the scenario. Let's give that a shuffle. Let's see what we get for encounter cards. An Ancient Zoog. Any Enchanted Woods location, unrevealed, if able, aloof. At the start of the enemy phase, if Ancient Zoog is ready, add a swarm to each swarming Zoog enemy in play. Now, it's a bit of a shame. I guess no matter what, it needs to go to an unrevealed, but it's a bit of a shame that we don't know that we're going to be putting him where the Gug is. So we're going to just toss him down here on this Enchanted Woods and hope for the best. And then Yorick gets Somnophobia. Test 5. For each point you fail by, take a horror to a maximum of 3 horror. For the purpose of counting icons committed to the skill test, everything is matching, and wilds and willpowers are double. So, like I said earlier, very tempted to just huck icons into this willy-nilly. The Live and Learn is worth a +2, and that gets me even, and the Knife and the Leather Coat get me higher. I think that maybe the Leather Coat goes and a Live and Learn goes. As much as I hate to toss a Live and Learn into this, that does get me 1 up. And then with Harvey, I think I'm going to go ahead and put... Yeah, I'm going to put the Mind Over Matter in for another 2. This will be 3 up on that. I think that puts us pretty comfortable. A -4, so we take 1 horror, right? Yeah, not too bad. All things considered. Passing it, I guess, would have been better, but whatever. Okay, so we'll just go ahead with Yorick first. I think we are going to go take out that Ancient Zoog, because we don't want the other Zoogs to get, like, stupid strong if we can avoid it. So we'll head into that location and hope it's not the Gug. Okay, it's not the Gug. It's a 2-clue location, 5 Shroud. When your turn begins, if you're at this location, reveal a random token. If you reveal one of those, take a damage and lose an action. Well, the damage is very easy for Yorick to deal with. So then second action will engage the Zoog. And then third action will just swing at the Zoog with the baseball bat, being 4, 5, 6 against 3. That's pretty reasonable odds, and we'll just pull that. Hey, if this test is successful, return a card from your discard pile to your hand, so we get to do the 2 damage, and we'll return a card to our hand. I think we're going to go ahead and return this Look What I Found to our hand, and that'll be a pretty effective turn, I think. So for Harvey, now that he does not have the ability to Mind Over Matter the Gug away, we're just going to follow Yorick. But before we follow, we are going to take some time to play a Lab Assistant to draw 2 cards. 1, 2, Very nice. We'll buckle my shoe to draw a third card. Also very nice. A lot of great cards there. Move in with Yorick. And then we can investigate the location 5, 6, 7 against 5. If we commit the deduction, we stay at 7 because we lose the Celiano fragment boost. But if we do the perception and the deduction, then we're pretty juiced up, right? Like that puts us at 9 against 5. So I think that only makes sense to do, right? So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 against 5. The Elder Sign on him as well. Draw a card. Okay, no choice on that. You may not may draw a card. The successful investigation goes off. We get the 2 clues off the location. We draw a card from a perception as well. I definitely shuffled this deck, so not sure. Enemy phase happens. At the start of the enemy phase, if he's ready, he added Swarm to each Zoog. Fine, that happens. 1 damage, 1 horror. This guy reflects the damage, killing the Zoog. And we get to play an asset from our discard pile. And we're going to go ahead and get that leather coat into play. So upkeep for Harvey, we get the Vault of Knowledge, a very good timing for this. The hand size isn't particularly useful in this scenario, but passing out card draw sure is. And then for Yorick, a Vicious Blow. Also very good. 6 out of 19 Doom. And counter cards for Harvey, we get a hidden card. The Law of Yuggoth, Pandemonium. You cannot play or commit cards to skill tests with an odd number of words in their title. Discard a player card with an even number of words in its title from your hand to discard this card from your hand. Now, we have so much time that we're absolutely allowed to discard cards. We don't have to play around never playing odd cards. So we're probably just going to get rid of like the Lab Assistant or the Arcane Enlightenment to get this into play. That being said, eventually we do want to play a Dream Diary and solve it because getting the Dream Diaries upgraded very early is very good. And then for Yorick, we get the Lost in the Woods. Each investigator at an Enchanted Woods location tests 3. Each investigator who fails must lose an action and take a horror. So unfortunately, we're all going to be testing this. I am even on this right now, and I am looking very much like I'm not passing it. A -3, so we take a horror and lose an action. And then Harvey also does the same thing, 4 against 3. I think we'll just go ahead and... I can't commit the Vault of Knowledge. 4 against 3. Can I afford to take a horror and lose an action? Yeah, I have the Lab Assistant, so we'll just test 4 against 3. We draw a card, the Mob Enforcer, and we do not fail that test. And that gets discarded, and we surge into the Dreamer's Curse. This is the damage version of this, so I don't particularly care if Yorick flubs this one really badly. And so we're just going to let that fire 3 against 5. -2 will take 3 damage. 2 of it will kill my leather coat, and 1 of it will be to the face. There's a bit of a question right now about who can afford to pay this guy off. We both can afford to pay it off, but we both have stuff we like to play. That being said, the stuff that William has available immediately right now is like a coat and a bunch of low-cost stuff. And so I think William is going to spend an action to pay this off. But first, we have to pull a token from our location. A +1, so we do not take a damage and lose an action. We'll spend 1, 2, 3, 4 to discard this Mob Enforcer. And then we'll move back to the Enchanted Path. Harvey will also need to pull a token, a -2, so he does not take a damage and lose an action. We'll go ahead and we'll discard the Arcane Enlightenment to discard the Law of Yuggoth. We'll move to the center location. And then we'll go ahead and we'll 1, 2, 3 to play the Vault of Knowledge, getting us in a position where we can just pass out card draw like candy. Okay, upkeep on Harvey, Perception, and upkeep on Yorick, a Tetsuo Mori. 7 out of 19 Doom. And counter card for Harvey is the Zoog Burrow. Test 3. For each point you fail by, add a swarm card to the nearest Zoog. If you fail and there are no enemies in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a Zoog enemy, draw it, and shuffle the encounter deck. This is just going to be getting failed. I am 2 against 3. Very failed, so we search for a Zoog enemy, draw it, and shuffle the encounter deck. So that spawns a stealthy Zoog engaged with the investigator with the lowest agility. That is going to be Harvey at 2. Alert and swarming 1, but only 1 health. And then Yorick gets a Crypt Chill, which is most likely going to be eating up this baseball bat, which is a problem. But I could just let it eat up the guard dog and then play a Tetsuo Mori. But either way, we're just going to test this 3 against 4. -2. We definitely fail. So what are we losing? The baseball bat's really useful for action efficiency. The guard dog is just soak. And I have more soak. I can also just play him right away if I can kill this guy with the baseball bat. So that's fine. So we'll go ahead with William first. I think that I kind of don't want to engage this guy. I think I'm just swinging. 6 against 1. Really hoping that I don't pull the auto-fail on that. And he's just dead. And then I get to play something from a discard again. We're going to go ahead and play the Tetsuo Mori from the discard pile. Reason being, when this guy dies, we can search an item assets for Harvey there. Maybe find his dream diary for me. Or just find some more stuff for myself, if I so desire. Carrying on, we do need to reveal more locations. And I think I can move and maybe hit the Lumbering Gug if I reveal him. So move. It's the Enchanted Woods. 4 Shroud. After you reveal this, if you do not leave this location before the end of the round, place 1 Doom on the current agenda. Well, I think that we're just last action going to be moving right back. And we're going to let Harvey scoop those up. Okay, so like I said, we're at Harvey. We're going to move over to that location that we just revealed. Do we investigate and then also use the Working a Hunch? I don't remember. I think in the interest of maybe keeping my deck going a little bit, I'm going to investigate second. I'm going to be at 5, 6, 7, 8, because I lose the Celiano fragments. Yeah, 8 against 4. Happy with that. That is a -2, so I succeed. After I successfully investigate, I can exhaust this to draw a card, and then I can use this to draw another card. But I don't think I will. I won't use it there. I get 1 clue, and then I trigger the Perception, which draws me a card, and then I'll trigger this to draw a card. And that I'll use that Cryptic Writings to gain 2 resources. And then for 2 resources, I'll play Working a Hunch to get the other clue off the location, making it so at last action, I can just pop that right back to the Enchanted Path. Now I've got a second location cleared. Great. So Harvey gets upkeep, gets his second Magnifying Glass. York gets upkeep, and he gets a 45 auto. 8 out of 19 Doom, and a counter card for Harvey. The Deep Slumber. Your maximum hand size is reduced by 3 and is checked after each time you draw 1 or more cards. So my hand size is currently, only 9. Okay, only 9. And for William, we get the Furtive Zoog. Engage the investigator at your location with the lowest combat. Again, that pops over to Harvey, and he is swarming 1. Now, this is going to be engaging with Harvey, but I don't know whose deck this swarm comes off of. I'm going to look that up because it's an interesting question. So what the rule says is, an enemy with the swarming X keyword is actually a pack of enemies operating in unison. After you put an enemy with the swarming X keyword into play, place the top X cards of your deck face down underneath the enemy as swarm cards. Fine. I think we have a very similar turn going on where I'm just going to do a big attack into this Furtive Zoog. He does have Retaliate. I do have my baseball bat. I'll be 4, 5, 6 against 3. 1 icon would be very good, so I'm going to commit this knife to be 7 against 3. And once again, just kind of hope that I don't hit Harvey. 0. Great. So he is toast. Warm buttery toast. So he gets discarded. We get this on the bottom of our deck again. And I think we're still just kind of looking around. When we kill him, obviously we play this. We're going to be playing that Leathercoat from the discard pile. And we're just going to keep hunting for that Gug if we can find him. So we'll move up to this location. The Enchanted Woods with the Stone Trapdoor. While you're investigating this location, you get +1 Shroud for each card in your hand. A tricky one, but not impossible. But I don't think we'll be getting that with Sir William over here. We could investigate against 2 and then use the Live and Learn and commit both of these to get a clue, but not worth it. So we're going to head back to the center. And we're going to let Harvey get these as best we can. So Harvey's going to move up to that location. Now this is going to have a lot of Shroud right now. We're going to go ahead and just immediately use the Working Hunch to get one of those clues. That lowers the Shroud a little bit. But then for the other one, we're going to be at 5, 6, 7 against 2 plus 5 is 7. So I guess I commit 1 and it goes down to 6, and I stay at 7, and then I commit 1 and it goes down to 5, and I go to 8. So I'm 3 up if I do that. You know, 3 up is probably as good as I'm going to get with this one. So we're just going to give it a go. That's a -2. That's great. So we get to draw from our Vault of Knowledge, and then we'll use that to draw again. And then we'll get that last clue off the location. And then we also get to, once again, move back to the center. I feel like we're clearing all of this very efficiently. Of course, both my Working a Hunches are gone, but I think that these are the 2 locations. These are, in fact, the 3 locations that Working a Hunch is like particularly good at. So, feeling pretty good right now. I guess notably, the Cultist is now a -3, and that is eventually going to get to be like a -5 and a -6, but it's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. Upkeep on Harvey gets us an extensive research. Not bad. And upkeep on William gets us a Take Heart. Also not bad, but I really need to start committing these to stuff. 9 out of 19 Doom. Do you think we can get the last couple of clues in 10 turns? Countercard for Harvey gets us a Dreamer's Curse. We'll commit the Guts to this to be at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 against 5. Pretty reasonable. -2. Draw a card from that being successful. Will we play this? I think the answer is no while we have 2 Occult Invocations in hand. You know, obviously, extensive research is, if you have $2, that's better than having a card in hand, but I think that cards in hand is actually a little more important right now than 2 resources. And then our counter card for William is Stealthy Zoog, once again, engaged with Harvey. So, once again, we're going to be taking a swing into Harvey with the baseball bat. So, we are at 6 against 1. -1. He gets defeated. And we get to play a card from a discard pile. But unfortunately, we don't have many great cards in our discard pile right now that we can play for free. Haven't seen any Solemn Vows or anything like that, so not happening. We'll take a move. Once again, on the hunt for the Gug. We'll move right here. There he is. After this location is revealed, spawn the set-aside Laboring Gug at this location. I thought it was Lumbering. It's Laboring. So this 5/5/2 is now engaged with me. Hunter, he cannot enter the Enchanted Path. But I've got what I need. I can pull a baseball bat swing with a Daring and a Vicious Blow committed to be at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Does give him Retaliate if I fail. Could also just use the Live and Learn to get higher up. Both of those are reasonable options. But I'll just go for it. The 0, so we land 3 damage on him. That's a pretty good start. We also draw a card at the end of the test because of the Daring. Great. So Harvey gets to go. He's going to move into the same location. Ba-boom. Maybe I should leave these for Yorick to get. No, I think that he's a little euchred on his own, so we'll just get these. We've got time for it anyways. I guess there's a question of whether I finish him off with the Occult Invocation or I let the whole Tetsuo and Lab Coat soak everything. And I think I let the Tetsuo and Lab Coat soak everything, because like if they're not soaking stuff, then when I kill them, I don't get to play anything, right? So we'll do that. We'll just get these clues. So 5, 6, 7 against value of 1, I believe, -3. That is successful. We're going to use the Vault of Knowledge to draw a card, a Guts, and we're going to use this to draw a card, and then Burning the Midnight Oil, and then we get a clue. And then last action, we'll use the Burning the Midnight Oil to gain 2 resources, and do another Investigate at 7 against 1, and then we also get another clue. That was a -4. Like I said, the Laboring Gug is going to be hitting us for 3 and 1, so it's going to be 1, 2 on that, and then 1 and 1 on Mr. Mori over here. I guess technically I could let Tetsuo die here. That could have been a play, but I think I like replaying the Leather Coat for free, and then just like doing something else instead better. So we get Upkeep on Harvey. Yeah, there's the Thrice Damage, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's 2 damage onto us. Not that big of a deal. It would be really nice to see those Solemn Vows soon, though. And then over here on Yorick, we get a Solemn Vow. Speak of the Devil. 10 out of 19 Doom. And encounter cards for Harvey. Crypt Chill. Pretty good timing on that, because I'm going to be looking to grab my Dream Diary soon so I can actually solve the damn thing. But just 4 on 4, I could commit the guts to this, but I'd rather save it for those other ones. I could just pass as well. It's fine. And then Yorick gets Lost in the Woods. We're both going to have to do this again. These are getting a little painful on him, but I can just put the horror on Tetsuo, so that's not that big of a deal. So 3 on 3. No, maybe we'll give the guts to Yorick here. I like him not losing an action off of this. Not losing an action is kind of nice. But I guess taking a chunk of not 3 horror later is a little more important. So no, we're going to keep that in Harvey's hand. We're just doing 3 on 3. +2 and return a card from your discard pile to your hand anyways. God, I'm a dumbass. How many times have I looked at this discard pile and not realized that I mulliganed this Narcolepsy and forgot to shuffle it in my deck? I'm the worst, guys. I'm the absolute worst. Okay. So anyways, after the embarrassing revelation of not having put that Narcolepsy away, we're going to take a live and learn back so that we don't have to commit so much into this baseball bat against the Laboring Gug. And then Harvey has to test that as well, actually. So Harvey, you're testing 4 on 3. Same deal. I don't mind if you lose an action and take a horror. Fuck it. Like, why would you... I mean, why fail tests if you can pass them? And that surges into a Somnophobia. As I said before, this is the one that's dealing horror, so we're going to commit the guts from Harvey, putting us at 7 against 5. I think we're going to commit the live and learn, one of the live and learns to be at 9 against 5. -2, so that's successful, and Harvey gets to draw a card. It is a Dream Diary, what we've been looking for. Great. Okay, so with Yorick, you're fighting the Laboring Gug. We're swinging at 4, 5, 6 with the baseball bat against 5. I think I'm going to put a Take Heart into this, just so that I can burn some cards. So again, this is like a problem that I have of forgetting to discard shuffle the mulligans into the decks. Pretty embarrassing to catch. I hate when I do it, but now that I've drawn my attention to the fact that I have a Narcolepsy in here, I really don't want to take heart first action. So I'm just swinging 6 against 5 and using a live and learn after the fact. So 6 against 5. That's a -4. So we'll do that to be 8 against 5. Oh no, the auto fail. And then the baseball bat's broken. That's really bad. But it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. We'll go ahead. We'll slap the Solemn Vow onto Harvey. We'll use the Solemn Vow to move a damage from him onto Tetsuo Mori, defeating him. And then we can just get an item from our deck or discard pile. Now, I'm able to find a 45 automatic, which is a bit of a problem, because I can't really do anything aside from try to evade him now. And I don't really want to commit icons to that, so, I'll evade him with a Take Heart, I guess. And it doesn't matter if I pass, and it doesn't matter if I draw cards if I fail, because if I hit that Narcolepsy, not a big deal. -1, so I succeed, and he is evaded at the location. And I have 1 action remaining. I think we're just going to go ahead and play it a little safe and play the 45 auto. As much as that pains me, I'd much prefer to play Tetsuo, but the 45 auto is, letting us deal with the Zoogs a bit better. All right, so Harvey over here, we are going to go ahead and use an Occult Invocation to finish this guy off. We are going to discard an expensive research to do it. That's 2 damage. We're going to be at 5. 6, 7, 8. No, 7. 8, 9 against the 5. 9 against 5. Okay, the -3, so that's the 2 damage, and he's defeated into the victory display. Good night, sweet prince. And then we're going to go ahead, I'm going to put this somewhere a bit more reasonable, right there maybe. We're going to spend 2 to remove the Celiano fragments for a Dream Diary, and then we're going to add an Essence of the Dream to hand so that we can get this thing solved soon. Okay, so we get upkeep for Harvey, another Dream Diary, and then upkeep for William, another Solemn Vow, 11 out of 19 Doom, and an encounter card for Harvey. You cannot commit cards to skill tests with an odd total number of skill icons on them. Well, this fortunately has 2. That's nice. And then for Yorick, an Obscuring Fog. Nice gimme. We'll take it when we can. Yorick's going to toss his other Solemn Vow onto Harvey, I think. Actually, no, I'm not going to bother doing that. This could be useful icons. Instead, I'm going to go ahead with Harvey first, now that we know what locations... We don't have to deal with the Gug anymore. We're going to move once to the center. We're going to move once to this one. After a Zug enemy with a swarming keyword spawns at this location, add an additional swarm to it. That's annoying. And we're going to investigate this location. Are we going to investigate this location? How much is this going to cost? For each other card in your hand. Each other card in your hand? Does it count itself? No, each other card in your hand. So this would be 6 cost. So we're 1 short of playing that. So it's move. We could just play it next turn instead. I don't mind that so much. Yeah, we're going to investigate 6 against 3. We could try... No, that would just give me the Vault of Knowledge. We're going to take a card draw, shuffling the deck. And then we're going to trigger this to draw an extra card. Okay, cool. Got a lot of icons to commit next turn. I'm really tempted to have York go the other way and play his keyring and look what I found and just get the clues quickly. And yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. We're going to do 2 moves. 1, 2, 4 Shroud. As an additional cost for you to leave this location, you must choose and discard a card from your hand for each clue on this location. And we're going to go ahead and, last action, play this old keyring. So that next turn, we can look what I found with the old keyring and finish this thing off. Not encounter cards, excuse me. Upkeep for Harvey. We're now at maximum hand size, I believe, because of this Deep Slumber. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's correct. So I'll get rid of an extensive research because that is not going to be particularly helpful for us. I guess technically the Celiano Fragments and the Magnifying Glass are less useful because there are fewer icons. And then upkeep for William is a Bury Them Deep. Ooh, I forgot about Bury Them Deep. Bummer. 12 out of 19 Doom. Counter card for Harvey is the Inconspicuous Zug, any connecting location, Hunter swarming 2, so 2 swarms, and then he heads to the path. And his whole thing is that he is Hunter, and when he is defeated, cancel all excess damage and move any of its remaining swarm host cards to a connecting location, exhausted. So, it's a bit of a shame, but York will have to chase him around shooting him for a while to pull this off. Anyways, York gets the Crawling Mist. Ooh, Prey, most cards in hand, Massive Hunter. Alright, this guy is just on Yorick. Ooh, that's going to be tricky for us to kill. We're going to have to take a lot of shots into that. Okay, so, Harvey, you're going to have to play an expensive research for how much? Minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For 4 to get those 2 clues off the location. And then he's going to have to move back into the center, engaging the Conspicuous Zug. And then I believe he kind of has to play a Mind Over Matter and punch this guy once. So I'm going to commit the Essence of the Dream. I'm going to be at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need to succeed by 3 or more. I can't commit cards with an odd number of skill icons on them. So I'm going to have to be 9 against 2 on a punch on this guy. And if it works, I'll be moving the remaining guy to a different location, exhausted. 0. Nice. Okay. So we've successfully interpreted the dreams. This gets set to the side. One of them is defeated back into my deck, and this guy gets exhausted to an adjacent location. We'll just shove him over onto the stone trapdoor. No problem. Now, as for Yorick, unfortunately, I kind of just have to shoot this guy a bunch of times, 2 up, which is not great odds. It's not great odds, but it's where we're at right now. So 2 up, minus 2. Minus 2 with a fail by, so that is just 2 onto him. We'll go again. Another minus 2. And we'll go again. Oh my god, that is unreal. I cannot believe that went that way. Alright, so he's defeated, and we get to bury him deep, because he is non-elite. For an extra VP on this Crawling Mist. Wow, that was incredibly fortunate. return a card from your discard pile to your hand as well. Okay, so he's discarded. We're returning the Live and Learn to our hand, and we're adding a Leather Coat into play for having successfully defeated an enemy. So we get upkeep for Harvey, a deduction, and then upkeep for William, a Vicious Blow, 13 out of 19 Doom, and a counter card for Harvey, another Deep Slumber. Now our hand size is 6, and a counter card for William, an Obscuring Fog, so that the Shroud here is actually kind of painful. But we did get that Live and Learn, so let's see if we can pull it off. We'll be investigating 2 against 4, I believe. Yeah, 2 against 4 because of the +2 Shroud. A 0. Okay, so we don't even have to do anything. We just play the Look What I Found for the 2 clues. And then we move here, and then investigators at the path may spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance. We either watch the surreal scene play out, or we interrupt the scarred cat and handle this ourselves. R1 or R2. And we're going to go ahead and choose Resolution 2, parlaying with the Zoogs. We hold up a hand. Had we known that these rodent-like creatures were intelligent, we might have tried to communicate them instead of smashing them with a baseball bat. But we record the investigators' parley with the Zoogs. We add Randolph Carter, Expert Dreamer, to a deck, and we gain Victory X experience points, where X is equal to 11 from locations, and an additional 3 from the encounter, from the victory display, so 12, 14. Let me proceed to the interlude, and I'll be conferring with Haskell before I proceed about what happens in the interlude, and I'll see you then.